Hello everyone, thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today I'm going to be doing the 10 style art challenge, but it's technically 11 because I didn't realise the 10 styles were supposed to include your own, so I've done my style, which I'm drawing on screen now, as well as 10 other styles from different shows and pieces of media that's inspired me from when I was a kid up until now. This doesn't include every style by any means, so I'm probably going to end up doing a part 2 of this video at some point. And during the video I'll be throwing up some examples of how the styles have influenced my work and some fan art and things like that. So here I'm drawing one of my characters who doesn't have a name, which is the majority of my characters. My style at this current point in time is very sketchy and painterly. I love using bold lines and really bright colours. My style changes all the time, so if I were to revisit this challenge it would be a completely different drawing. I don't try and put myself in a box. If my style changes, I think your style will just naturally change as you grow, but this is what my work looks like at the moment. I chose this character because she has quite a simple design, but she's recognisable. She has some really interesting features that you'll see. I had to go back and do more research in order to be able to translate those features into each particular style, especially her glasses and her lipstick and her hair quiff at the front, as well as the colours. Okay, now that I've finished the initial portrait of the character, it's time to dive in to the 10 styles. Oh shit, we're in real life now. The first style is probably a bit of an obscure one. It's the style of an illustrator named Georgie Ripper, who illustrated this book series for some time called Rainbow Magic, which was this ongoing story about two girls helping some fairies and they fought Jack Frost or something. When I was a kid I used to doodle stuff all the time, but I really loved this very simple art style, so I would sort of draw in that style all the time by myself. For this one I decided to do it in actual watercolours, just like the style is, and if you do decide to do one in watercolour, please get some paper that can actually handle watercolour, because I really thought this paper could, but it was struggling so much. I also forgot to add her glasses, which I managed to badly Photoshop in later on. This one was fairly easy because I've been working with watercolours a lot recently, and it's just a very simple style to execute. I decided to give her some wings too. The second style is based off of the style used in Disney's 2D animation films. I realised I should have tried to stick to one movie style because they're all slightly different, so this one kind of looks bad. I was never influenced by the style necessarily, but more how things are animated has constantly just inspired me. Whenever I sit down and watch a 2D animated Disney film, I'm always in awe by what I see. Third style is based off of the character artwork that is used in Pokemon, particularly around Generation 4 to onwards. My first Pokemon game was Pokemon Pearl and I loved it so much, I was obsessed with it, played it every single day. Pokemon was what I think really got me into drawing because I drew so much stuff. I drew some horrible comics, I made my own region, which I think pretty much every kid did, with my own maps and trainers and made up Pokemon. It was the first time I'd encountered this sort of anime style, which at the time I didn't really know what that was, but it ended up having an influence on my more personal stuff. This style also used a lot of watercolour and airbrush brushes when it came to the shading, which is something that I rarely do, so this was definitely a more challenging one, but it makes me want to try that out more in my artwork. The fourth style is from Tokyo Mew Mew. Again, this is something that I was obsessed with and I drew so much fan art for and lots of characters. This made me want to sort of pursue art and drawing more. But because of this and Pokemon, I didn't really ever understand facial anatomy because they both have those really long eyes and the tiny noses, so I never learned how to draw a nose for the longest time. As you can see, I really struggled with the hair because it's so detailed and it's drawn in such a particular way, but it was definitely a fun style to revisit because I used to draw like this all the time. The fifth style is the style of Invader Zim, specifically here the style that was used in the television show. But if I do make a part 2, I'm definitely going to be taking on the Enter the Florpus style, which if you haven't seen the film and you're a fan, definitely go and watch it. Invader Zim and Jonah Vasquez's work in general is what really got me into comics, and it's my goal in life to work within the comic industry in the future and maybe even have my own terrible comic out there in the world. I got into Zim right off the back of Tokyo Mew Mew, so my style at the time became this really dodgy hybrid between this cutesy anime style and this very edgy and graphic style. Sixth style is a style used in the Professor Layton series. This was challenging to do because every single character has their own really unique and distinctive design, but it's still recognisable within that style. So I had to sort of wing it in a way, but hopefully I think it's recognisable. The character design is something that I really love about this series. A lot of these styles were very surprising for me because of the lack of shading, especially this one, because it's something that I usually go overboard in, but then again, a lot of the styles are very simple because they're animated and I don't have time to do the amount of shading that I do. The seventh style is the style used in Panty and Stocking with Garterbelt, which is one of my favourite anime. I've never actually drawn in this style ever, so this was really fun. I've definitely been influenced by the style and how dynamic it is, and the whole show really, from the animation to the music, is something that I always revisit and I really love it. I really enjoyed this style because I could actually use brighter colours again. Most of the styles, particularly the older ones, had a lot of desaturated colours, which was something that I had to really adapt this character design to. The eighth style is a style that's used within homestuck. I'm not sure what it's called, but it's used in more active panels and flashes and things like that. For me, it's been a really influential piece of media, not only on like an artistic sort of level, but also on a personal level, especially when it comes to the storytelling and the characters. I think they're so brilliantly written. I drew So much fan art. I still draw so much fan art to this day. The 9th style is from Gatchaman Crowds, which is another one of my favourite anime. I love Hajime and Rui, and I drew them all the time. I think around this time I'd gotten back into a lot more anime, like Tokyo Ghoul and Ruby I was watching as well, so I went back to sort of anime style in my work, and particularly this style is what influenced me. But for some reason, like a year after this, I stopped drawing the whites in characters' eyes, which thankfully fixed itself when I got into the next style. I think this style's really fun and simple, even if the hair shading sort of confuses me. Yeah, I love Hajime and the way the show explores ideas around morals and being a collective or individual, and I think it's just really good, and you should go and watch it. The 10th and final style for this video is from Gorillaz, specifically the style that Jamie Hewlett used around Phase 3 or the Plastic Beach era. Some of the references that you see on screen here are actually from Jamie's other work around that time, but it was just to grasp more how the style worked with female characters. Especially because the only 2 female characters he drew during Plastic Beach were a robot and a girl with her eyes covered. When I first got into Gorillaz, this style leaked into everything that I drew straight away. Once again, I drew so much fan art, and my favourite piece of work that I've ever done was born. At the time, Jamie Hewlett's work really relit my passion for art, and I love how he sketches and the way he uses ink, especially in his most recent work in Phase 5. And I love how diverse he is in his work if you take a look at his Instagram or his art book, but you still always know that it's his work. And I think that's really cool. That's all the 10 styles done, along with my own one, so technically 11 in total. Aren't you lucky? This is so cool for me to look at because it's a brief timeline of the influences over my artistic life, and I'm really happy with how it turned out, despite a couple of them being a bit wonky. I definitely recommend doing this if you have the time. I think it's really valuable to learn from your favourite influences by studying how they work and figuring out how they've done those colours and how they get that texture and how they do the line art. I'd love to do a part 2 on this with some more styles because there's definitely a lot that I missed out. I would definitely try and use a more dynamic pose with a different facial expression because she's just looking really blank, to be honest. And it'd be nice to explore how other styles sort of portray certain expressions. Thank you so much for watching, really appreciate it. I hope you all have a lovely day and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!